This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Katie Abraham was a junior at Ohio University. She and her friend Chloe Polson from Deerfield, Katie's from Glenview, went to U of I a couple weekends back to visit friends. They were stopped at a stoplight, and they were struck at full force by a 29-year-old Guatemalan national in this country illegally, using an alias and apparently driving drunk. Katie died at the scene. Chloe died the next day. He tried to flee to Mexico, but thankfully U.S. Marshals were on the ball and he was arrested. And we are pleased to be joined by Joe Abraham, Katie's father, and Sandy Abraham, Katie's aunt and Joe's sister. I've been talking to Joe over the last week or so, and he wanted to come on the show to, say some things about Katie and this issue and her passing. Wanted to wait till the service was completed, which it was this weekend. So, Joe and Sandy, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Dan. Pleasure.
Thank you. Well, tell us about Katie and Chloe.
So I'll let Sandy, why don't you go ahead, and because Sandy's Katie's only aunt, and I'll tell you those two were two peas in a pod. So Sandy, if you want to go ahead.
Well, Katie was obviously very unique and special to me, and the fact that we've lost her has ruined everyone's lives, and life without her is just not going to be the same, right? And it's not fair, and we're upset, and we want justice for Katie and for Chloe.
What was her and Chloe's relationship? Were they childhood friends?
Yes.
They played water polo together, so that's how they knew one another. But Katie, just to build on what Sandy was saying, yeah. When we say Katie was unique, Katie was one of these kids. She had such a special soul. She was just full of life and energy, and she was so witty, and she was so funny, and she was like so smart about things, and caught on to kind of everything. So when we think of Katie, it's when we say things will never be the same, it was always during family functions and things like this that when Katie showed up, you just knew the party started. Now, my dad passed away the day after Christmas, and he was a huge character in the family, and Katie was like right there with them. So within a month, we lost two just amazing people and huge characters in the family. And honestly, the dynamic, it will never be the same for any of us.
How did you get the news about the crash and Katie's death?
So the Urbana detectives who've been great called us that morning and kind of gave us a quick rundown. Like, they were out, early Sunday morning, and the five girls were in the Honda Civic, and the Guatemalan national was in a Mitsubishi Outback and just didn't stop. The girls were at a stoplight, and the Mitsubishi Outlander just didn't stop, just ran right through them. So, and then where Katie had passed on the scene, and Chloe the next day. But, yeah.
Have you been in touch with prosecutors in this case now that he is in custody?
Yeah, we have talked to the state's attorney, and it sounds like the case is really solid. And so that's the big thing for me. I mean, hats off to the marshals and the detectives and the Urbana police. They did exactly what they needed to do. I think the case is very strong, and I love the fact that I'm feeling confident, and it helps me that he's hopefully going to serve everything he's going to, get. I guess within our law, I'd like to see other things. But I think also what I'm looking for is, and I'm not sure there's much interest here, is like, who else is out there? Like, how did he sustain himself? Who helped him down to Texas? How did he how was he able to move so quickly from Urbana down to like Milford, Texas, in like within a day?
And he was on a bus, right, heading to Mexico when they picked him up?
Yeah, that was my understanding. Yes.
And what was his means of support while he was in Illinois?
Yeah, I haven't. That's the thing. I guess the investigation's going on, so I don't have all these answers. I've got so many questions. And
Have you heard?
Really, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard from any elected officials in Illinois about this?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Do you have any particular message for elected officials in Illinois about this?
I think for me, I'm just trying to understand what the end goal is. I know I keep hearing and I keep being told that this is good for us. You know, we're all going to be safer with this. We're all just going to be, it's going to be utopia or something, whatever, you know. But I'm just trying to understand. I don't understand the end goal. Like why? So why was why is this okay? So Katie has passed, right? We've lost a huge, just loved one, right? Yeah. But for what end, I guess, is what I'm curious about. And I just don't know. Like, what's the end goal here? Why is Katie on the altar of what? Freedom, safety? I just don't know, and that kind of bothers me a little bit.
What do you know about this monster who did this? I know he was using aliases, and do you know how he got his vehicle? And I'm only asking that because we had an Alderman Lopez on our show who said that illegals are getting free cars that are neglected at the pound. Yeah,
so this is, I guess, because of the, these are questions, Amy, that's a great question. I don't really have the answer to that. It's still an ongoing. I guess maybe after everything's said and done, I'll get more information. But, yeah, I don't really know how he got the car. I know he wasn't on the insurance. Some other person insured the car, but then he was reimbursing, and that's how he had the car. My understanding is he didn't have any documentation, no driver's license or anything like that. Ugh. And so there were things that were happening that I mean, I just don't know yet. Hopefully I will know one day. But, yeah, these are all questions I want. Like, who's helping him? How did he sustain himself? How did he get a car? How's he driving around? How does that work with the insurance? And I believe it was State Farm. And how does all that work? Like, it's okay to do this and then not that, right? You can insure for someone else, and that's totally legal. And no one's really held accountable. Because one of the things I want to do is I love that this guy was caught and he's going to see justice. But who else? Like, it can't just be him. It can't just end here. Aren't there others that need to, like, answer for this? And that's the one thing I think I've got to sort of get into, I suspect.
What was it like at the service over the weekend? I mean, she was only a couple years removed from high school, so high school friends and family and people that you know, neighbors and friends in Glenview and so forth. Yeah,
we tried to keep it a little bit more low key and not put it out there so much, but it was quite a large showing, more than what we thought. But Sandy, do you want to give your perspective on that, maybe?
Yeah, it was actually a beautiful service. But, you know, anyone and everyone, as much as we wanted it to be low key, you know, people come. I mean, This is a young person. She was just beginning her life, and it was brutally taken away from her. It's just not right. But again, back to the service. You know, everyone was there, all her friends, and like you said, neighbors and our loved ones. And we had family coming in from California, Minnesota, Ohio. You know, how could you not show up for this child, really?
Yeah. Sandy, what is justice? Oh, I'm sorry. Go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's okay.
Well, what does justice look like for you?
Oh, my gosh. It's a good question. There's so many things that go through my head, but, you know, again, the U.S. Marshals, hats off. Thank you. You know, thank you, President Trump, for closing the borders so that this guy, he would have been long gone.
Yep.
And then what? So it feels good that he was caught, but really he needs to be put away. He needs to serve his time here, and then he needs to get out, and he should never be allowed back.
So,
Second time he's been back in here. back in the U.S.
Yeah, and just to be
Now,
clear,
what are we going to do next time? What happens the third time? How many lives have to be lost before this person is sent away and not allowed back?
and honestly, I mean, so part of this, Dan and Amy, is for me is what we are absolutely. Our parents were immigrants. Like, they came here on student visas. They were sponsored. It was kind of like the right way to do it, right? And so I don't think you shouldn't be hearing from us, because I don't want this misunderstood, but we're not for immigration. I just don't think the choice, I feel like the choice is either I'm for immigration, that means anything goes and everything can happen, or you're not pro-immigrant, which is absolutely wrong. Just let's have it done the right way. Some common sense, some practicality to this, some like, slow down a little bit. Like, let's not. It just can't be a free for all. All I think we're saying is it just can't be a free for all.
Yeah,
Do it the right way.
Pretty rational. I think that's where most people are at. Unfortunately, those are not the people that are in positions of authority in the state. I mean, you know, we had the Lake and Riley Act that the president just signed with respect to dealing with people in this country illegally and making sure that justice is served when somebody is wronged. What about the Katie Abraham Act in Illinois to eliminate our sanctuary state designation?
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on that, but, you know.
Is that something you'd like to see?
I mean, we'd love to see things in honoring Katie in any real way. Honestly, Dan, we're not that state. I just don't see it happening. So I'm not even thinking about that. It just, you know, right now I'm just trying to get the pieces together and keep moving forward here. But, you know, maybe after the trial, it's things we can think about if anyone cares. But I just don't feel like we're in the place or time that's going to come through here in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just, I mean, you're looking at stories. There are tens of thousands of people who are killed by drunk drivers who are here illegally, who don't even have their driver's license. So, I mean, I hope something changed. I mean, not hope, but I feel like we have to do something, and now might be the time. Well, when you're done grieving, well, you will never be done grieving. I shouldn't say that, but somebody has to do something to spare other people from going through what you're going through as a family.
Well, and I don't want to forget the Polson family too. I know they haven't chosen to be public about what happened to their daughter, but you know that Chloe Polson matters too, and we don't want to forget about her.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like we're going public because we don't want this to happen to anyone else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrific. Nobody else should have to go through this. Like, how many more have to die before something is done?
Preventable crime. You know, that's what's so frustrating. Exactly. And I feel, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but our government seems to care more about illegals than their own citizens, especially when you look at these sanctuary states and these sanctuary counties and sanctuary cities.
But yeah, and it's just, again, I feel like for what are we going to get out of this? Like,
right.
All I hear is we're safer. All I hear is that, you know, you got to be pro-immigrant, and that means anything that the state does should be fine with me. So I just don't know. Like, I can't hang my hat. I can't get it in my head. Like, this is good because of X. I don't know what that X is, and then Katie was sacrificed on that altar, and then I don't know. Maybe that would bring me some more peace. I just don't know what we're doing. I just have no idea. I don't know why she had to be in that place at that time in that situation, and I don't know why I lost Katie, and for what. I just don't know.
Yeah,
and I know we're a country of immigrants. I know all that. I get it. Well, you know, I get all that. I don't know why it has to be like this. So if someone can help me understand that might be better for me, I guess, or bring me some more peace, I guess.
It's very difficult to understand. I think a lot of people listening have the same confusion that you have. We certainly do here. It's hard to make sense of. There's no question. Because this is, more about Katie than policy. I mean, just if you have anything else that you wanted to add so that people get more of a sense of who Katie Abraham was and this story and her life being taken sticks with them.
Yeah, Katie, she was such a unique person. She loved music. She had a playlist for everything, right? I mean, we would go to the grocery store in 2 minutes, and she wanted to do a playlist for that. And so she loved music. She would talk with me around more of the old days music, is how she put it, the 1900s music. We would talk about the 1970s and 80s, a little bit of 90s, and we would, sit there and just listen to some of the old music that I used to like, and then she kind of would, make playlists based on that. She had this when she was younger. She had this like smile. It was kind of like she would struggle with this smile, and we would talk about it. And I'd say, Katie, we look at these pictures and we say, look at that, Katie. You would like your smile was like, she would say, oh my God, I thought I was always nailing it. I'm like, no, you weren't. And then, but as she grew up, her smile was so perfect. And I'd say, but you're nailing it now. And she's like, oh, I thought I nailed it back then. And she was just such a witty, fun, full of life. Gosh, I mean, she's going to be so missed. Our family dynamic, again, will never be the same. Never.
No.
What was she studying at Ohio U?
Yeah, so she was finally getting it, kind of honing in on what she wanted to do. I think she wanted to get into some kind of promotional things. So I think she was going to study around marketing or communications. And again, we always knew Katie, when she figured it out, she was going to do so well. Like, she just had that kind of personality and that sort of drive when she got it figured out, and she was getting it figured out. So she knew what she was going to do, and she was going to get after it.
Yeah.
Well,
and then the other thing is the way Katie strung sentences together, her inflection, how she positioned it, her attitude. I used to get so angry with her, obviously a teenage girl, middle school, high school, that kind of thing. And we would, I'd be waiting for her to talk to her. She'd come in through the door, and I'd start, and she would just start telling me these things, and I just would start kind of laughing the way she would do it. And it was like, all right, Kate, all right, we're good. Let's just not do that again. It was like she just knew how to, just disarm me, big time. She's so great. She's so great.
Yeah.
She'll always be with you. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I know all of our listeners are going to keep you in our prayers.
Yeah, very sorry about Katie's passing. Joe Abraham, Katie Abraham's father, Sandy Abraham, Katie Abraham's aunt. Joe and Sandy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. And they joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.